What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. Today is main deck Monday, and today we're going over a Seismitoad Garbodor deck because I think it's a really good deck in this format right now. And first off, I want to get a huge shout out to Sam Liggett and Cal Haviland. They're kind of helping me put this deck together. I know Cal gave me the original list, then I tested with Sam on Saturday to list out some, and I really like some of the stuff he made. Changes in the deck, so we'll go over it. So we have Seismitoad here, of course. You know, Quake Punch, 30 damage. Your opponent can play the item cards from his or her hand during their turn, and then Grenade Hammer does 130, and attack does 30 damage to 2 of your bench Pokemon. Don't apply weakness and resistance to those Pokemon. Here we have a 3-2 Garbodor line, just to make sure you can get your Trubbish out, because they're going to get Lysander fairly quickly, so you don't get Garbodors out. Garbodor has Garbotoxin in. If this Pokemon has a Pokemon tool attached to it, each Pokemon to play in each player's hand and each player's discard pile has no abilities except for Garbotoxin. So that way you can shut down all abilities. No Sneaky Bites, no Flash Bite, or what? Not Flash Bite. That's the old Crobat. You know, just Wobbuffet gets shut down. So, but no traits, just abilities. So that's the key thing to note here. But no Shamans, no Jirachis, and stuff like that. And speaking of Jirachi, we do play one Jirachi for Stellar Garnish, just for the early game. If you don't have a supporter in your hand, you can Ultra Ball for Jirachi to get a supporter out of your deck. And that's all the Pokemon you play in here. You could play a Mewtwo if you want to. That's the only other card I think maybe you could put in here. So let's go over the trainage quick. Computer search, discard 2 cards in your hand. Search deck for any card, put in your hand. 4 Question Hammers, and this is really good to get rid of energies, especially since Lysander or Trump card is banned. They can't get their energies back unless they play energy retrieval or superior energy retrieval. And this says flip a coin if it has discard energy attached to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Here we have 4 Hypnotoxic Laser. Your opponent's active Pokemon is not poisoned. Flip a coin if it has. Your opponent's active Pokemon is also asleep. So very nice if you can flip heads here. Super Scoop Up. Flip a coin if heads. Put one Pokemon and all cards attached to it into your hand. And this is because you're not going to do a lot of damage with Toad. You're just going to attach a DC, Muscle Bandit, and Quake Punch. If they hurt you, you can try to Super Scoop it back into your hand. 4 Ultra Ball, which you already been over. Discard 2 cards in your hand. Search deck for Pokemon and put it. And that's all the trainer cards, or item cards, I guess, is what the correct term is. Oh, and 4 Verse Seeker, sorry about that. Put a supporter card from your discard pile into your hand. I think I already said that. And then we have supporters here. 1 color, shuffle here in your deck, and then draw a number of cards equal to the number of bench Pokemon, both yours and your opponent's. Here we have 2 Lysander. I really like 2 Lysander a lot because it's a really good card, especially if you're playing against another Toad deck and you can't Verse Seeker for a Lysander. You can just automatically have one, and it just says switch your opponent's bench with one of his or her with their active. So you pick a bench Pokemon that comes up. 1 in here. Each player shuffle his or her hand to their deck, and then each player draws a card for each of their prize cards remaining. 4 Sycamore, discard your hand and draw 7 cards. 1 shot, I'll try to put a Team Plasma card from your discard pile into your hand, and this is get back lasers because since Trump cards has been banned, you can't get lasers back anymore. Because you can't recycle your discard pile, but you can Shadow Triad for lasers if you need that damage output, maybe the 10 or 30 damage from the laser in the Verbank. 1 Skylar here, search deck for trainer card or villain, put into your hand, and this is just if you need maybe a Verbank, if you need a Muscle Band, if you need a Floatstone, a Headringer. You have all these different options with Skylight. You can always Verse Seeker for it later in the game, which is really good here. Here we have 1 T Flagrant, discard energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon, just to slow down decks like Ferozing and Genocide. Or anything that has, you know, you just attach energies, you can just easily discard them, which is really good. 1 Xerosic, choose a Pokemon tool or special energy card, attach a Pokemon to play, both yours and your opponent's, and discard it. And this is mostly good. Maybe Floatstones off certain Pokemon, maybe like a Trebnit, maybe a Wobbuffet, and they'll be stuck in the active spot. They have to waste the energies to actually retreat them, which is pretty good there. 3 Verbank City, just so you can beat the stadium more. Put 2 damage counters on poison Pokemon between turns, and you can poison Pokemon with the Hypnotoxic Laser. 3 Floatstone, this card's statue has a 0 retreat cost. That means they can retreat for free, and that's why you put on Garbodor. So they Lysander up a Garbodor. He usually has a 3 retreat cost, but Floatstone, he has nothing. And once you Quake Punch, they can't discard your tools unless they Xerosic them. So they can't play a Starling Megaphone to get rid of it. So they have to waste the supporter for the turn to get the Floatstone off. Here we have 3 Muscle Band. This attacks of this Pokemon, this card is attached. You do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So that way your Quake Punch is doing 50 base, and with laser you're doing 10, and then with a Verbank you're doing 20 more, so that's 80 damage total, which is pretty nice to come back to. It's 110, and you usually can knock on any EX with that damage. 2 Headringers, this Pokemon is attached to costs 1 more colors attack, and this is going to be attached to EX2. So if you attach to a Seismitoad, they need 3 energies now to use Quake Punch, or 2 water and 2 colors to actually use Grenade Hammer, and 3 water energy. And this is just so if your opponent plays like a lot of Zerosics, they can't really discard your water energies. They have to play Crushing Hammer or Team Flare Grunts, but they can't play Crushing Hammer if you're using Quake Punch. So they have to Team Flare Grunt it, which is pretty nice. And also you can use it for Grenade Hammer for the last kill. If you have a Grenade Hammer, you can do 130 plus a Muscle Band 150, and then a Vermink Laser doing 180. So you can knock out the majority of Pokemon EXs that way, just not the Megas and stuff like that. But hopefully enjoy the deck and let's see it in action. Alrighty, so we're playing against Gale Wolf X, playing a Steel, Psychic, and Fairy deck. Call heads, he gets decides if he goes first here. Hopefully it's a Aromatizi, and we can put a Garbodor out and he can't use it. So we start Trubbish, we got a Floatstone, but no supporter right now. And if you notice, I got a new camera, that's why it's kind of higher placed. I'm not really looking at it. So we're actually playing against Tool Drop. This is a really, really good matchup for us. Once we Quake Punch, he can't never use Tool Drop again unless he gets a crazy turn. We don't play a Megaphone, but we just see a pass from my opponent. Alright, so here we'll put a Floatstone. We actually have to get Jirachi this turn. So we'll play a Laser, Tails, Ultra Ball. We'll discard the Headringer and Verse Seeker. And here we'll get Jirachi. And I'm going to keep the Super Scoop up, because I'm going to get a Sycamore here, and I'm actually going to Super Scoop up this Jirachi, so that way it doesn't die, or my opponent can't Lysan it for an easy kill. So here we'll Super Scoop it up, heads, pick up the Jirachi, and we'll just play Sycamore. Alright, so we get the Toad, we get the DCE, we'll retreat to the Toad, and here we'll Quake Punch for 30. Now you can't play any trainer cards here, and Tool Drop does 20 damage times the net, 20 damage for each Pokemon tool attached to this Pokemon in play, or all Pokemon in play. So right now it's going to hit us for 20. We see a Jirachi come down. We're going to see a Juniper. And next week, for Main Deck Monday, if you have a certain deck you want to see, let me know and I'll play it. Right now I'm deciding to play Primal Groudon because I haven't covered that deck and I think it's really good with the Lysander Trump Card band. So I'm going to look into that deck. Here we see a Swirlix, a Trubbish come down, and Shaman come into play. But here we get a Verbank City. Here we get a Ultra Ball. We'll discard T-Flare Grunt and the Laser. Here we get the Garbodor in play. We see a victory screen. So once we get the Garbodor out, none of this Pokemon have abilities. He couldn't play any tools down. And we got a mystery gift. Oh, I wonder what it's going to be. It actually seems like a really cool deck right there. With Slurpuff to draw through your deck. Shaman to draw more tools. Just kind of stinks that he had to play against a Toad deck so he couldn't put down any tools. Let's see what we get here. Just 50 tokens. But if you give me 1 second, we'll play another game. Alright, playing against Darkest Ally, playing an all-fairy deck, and usually that's a good sign he's playing an Aromatizi. And if he does that, then we pretty much just win the game, because we have Garbodor, so he has to waste turn, Lysander up the Garbodor, and actually knock it out. So here we start with Toad. We can get an Ultra Ball, discard a Crushing Hammer, and maybe the other card to get a Trubbish, and we get Skyla for the Floatstone. Yeah, it's a pretty good turn one here. So we'll Ultra Ball, discard the Crushing Hammer, and Colress. Here we get a Trubbish. We will put the Trubbish down, Skyla for the Floatstone, so we have a turn 2 Garbodor ready to go. We could attach it now, or we could wait. I guess we'll attach it now, and we'll just end our turn. We're saving the Verbank City Gem for later, just in case he please puts the Fairy Guard down this turn, we can counter it. Now, the only way he can discard this Floatstone if he has a Megaphone and or a Zerosic. If he attaches a Zerosic, that's good. I mean, if he discards Zerosic, that's good for us. Because that's a wasted Zerosic, basically. So we see a Sycamore, Muscle Band, Fairy Energy come down, and we see him discard it. EXP shared and Mega Gardevoir EX. Okay, and we see a pass there, so he didn't get another Garbodor, or another Pokemon out to actually Geomancy too. So here we get the Garbodor, we get the Laser, alright, Tails, so now to sleep. We get the Verbank City Gem, and here we will Sycamore. Alright, so we didn't get a DC to attack the turn, but we got a Garbodor out, and now Zerny gets the second poison damage. So he can still play items here, he just can't use abilities. So currently no Aromatizi. He can't use... I think the only thing he really is here is Aromatizi, unless he plays Shaman, but we saw that it was all Fairy decks, so he probably doesn't play Shaman. Or Jirachi. So here we see if Florges comes down. Florges has the lead, and Bright Guard, and Bright Guard does 20 damage times the number of grass and fairy Pokemon you have in play. Here we see an energy retrieval, get a fairy energy out. Here we see a Shauna, and we'll probably see a Geomancy here. So EXP here going down to the Florges. Fairy Garden counter. Here we see a Spritzy coming out. And we see a Geomancy. It lets you get 2 Fairy Energies from your deck attached to 2 of your Pokemon. So we see a Fairy and a Fairy there. We get a Xerosic. Nothing too crazy in his hand. We're just going to have to... Oh, I should have checked earlier. I don't know if Computer Search is in the deck. We can actually Skyla for a Computer Search. I didn't check to see if that was prized or not. You know, we'll just go for it. We'll just get the Skyla and see what happens. Hopefully it's not prized. And if it is, we made a misplay. Or I made a misplay, basically. Alright, there's a Head Ringer, a Shadow Shot. Computer Search is in here. Very nice. Alright. So here we're actually Computer Search away the Xerosic and Lysander. And here we will get the DCE. That's why Skyla is really good. Because we can search out DCs. There's no real other way to do this. So here we get a Quake Punch for 80. Not knocking him out, but if he leaves an active spot, he gets knocked out coming back into our turn. Now, I didn't put the Scoop Up or the Muscle Band just in case we top deck another Seismitoad. We could drop a Muscle Band to it. We could have maybe Lysander next turn to Spritzy, but it's not really that useful because he can't ever really play a run with Tease because the Garbodor's on lock right now. Unless he Lysanders its Garbodor this turn, knocks it out. But we see a Fan Club actually coming down, which has choose 2 basic Pokemon from your deck and put them onto your bench. And if he doesn't have a Fairy Garden, the Xerneas dies. So we see a Geomancy here, so we take a prize card. And here we see a Xerneas come to active spot. Alright, so we got the Ultra Ball here. We'll Ultra Ball, discard a Floatstone and a Super Scoop Up. Here we'll get another Toad. Put the Toad down, Muscle Bandit, and here we'll Sycamore. So we get a Water Energy. Here I'll use a Crushing Hammer, Tails, and we'll Quake Punch for 50. Now I did want to put the other Toad down just in case he Lysanders up, but we don't have a way to retreat it. So that's always something you have to look out for. Okay, so on my opponent's turn here, we didn't see him play a supporter last turn. Oh no, yeah we did. We saw him play Fan Club. I'm sorry about that. Right now, Xerneas stuck in the active spot. We can just Quake Punch him again. Here we see a Xerneas come down. Professor Birch, come on heads. Very nice. So he gets 7 cards here. Now, will we see the floor just come up or not? That's the question. So we see a Jigglypuff here. What does Wigglytuff do? I can't remember right now. Does he get a Fairy Garden or not? That's the big question here. He had already played 2 down. So we see a Geomancy here. And if he ever got a Carnivore in play, he would be in trouble. We get a Lysander. We could start picking off these Spritzies and just one-shotting them there, which I actually like that idea. I don't know if did I have that last turn? I can't remember. So here we're just Lysander up to Spritzy and knock it out, take a quick prize here. So that way we're even on prizes. And we see the EXP share come to play here. EXP share says if your active Pokemon is knocked out from the act. Okay, when your opponent's active is knocked out by damage from opponent's attack, move 1 basic energy that was attached to that Pokemon to this Pokemon. That's why the floor just got one. And we see a Diancie EX come down, which is pretty scary because it has an attack where we can't hurt it. So here we get a Laser, Tails, get a Toad, DCE, a Muscle Band, and Sycamore. Alright, so we get a Crushing Hammer, Tails, come on, Crushing Hammer number 2, Heads. We actually discard the one off this floor just. There's no real need for. What does Hocus Pocus do? The defending Pokemon can't attack. Oops, I probably should have did it on that one. Here we'll put a Laser again. Wait, how many are we down right now? 1, 2. So this will be our 3rd one. I think we'll be okay. I'm trying to put him to sleep. So here we just Quake Punch. 80 damage left. But if he keeps an active spot, we can actually just knock it out. So there we go. It goes down to 50 here. Pretty sure. Yeah, so 50. Our turn, we draw another Laser. Here I'll just retreat to this Toad, and we'll just Quake Punch for the knockout, taking 2 more prizes. Now, the only thing about this Wigglytuff is that the defending Pokemon can't attack, but it doesn't seem like he has a way to attack her right now. Maybe he doesn't have any more energies. He does have a lot in the discard pile. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He has 1, 2, 3, 4. So 10 play in total. So we don't even see a Geomancy here. So here I'll just Team Flare Grunt, discard that. We can put another Trubbish with the Floatstone down. That way, if he plays this Xerosic, he can't discard both tools. And here, we'll just Quake Punch. We could Quake Punch for a knockout with the Laser, but I want to save that if we get a Water Energy and a Lysander, we can actually just kill the floor just. Alright, so pass for my opponent here. Get the Verse Seeker. We get the Garbodor out too. We'll just. I guess we'll Ultra Ball to get rid of cards in our hand, just in case my opponent ends us. We can have a better option of drawing and stuff. Because after this Seismitoad, we really not going to play another one. So here we see Wigglytuff come to active spot here. Now this is scary. He has the energy here because, like I said, he can Hocus Pocus us. Hocus Pocus. I never thought I'd say I'd be scared about Hocus Pocus before, but today might be the day. So we see its first attack here. It does gather energy, search deck for basic energy card, and attach it to 20 Pokemon. Shuffle your deck afterwards. Okay. So here we get a head ringer. We actually attach it to his Mega Dianchi because, like I said, that's pretty scary. Here we'll put a laser down. Heads. Now we can Verse Seeker for a Sycamore, or we can just Quake Punch. I'm just gonna go with Quake Punch here. It seems like it's safer play. So Quake Punch here. Heads. It wakes up, so it can retreat. But we can't just Lysander it up next turn and win the game. I think Lysander's in the discard pile. Yeah, it is. Okay. So we should be able to win this game unless he ends us. And we draw one card, and that one card is really bad. Let's see here. We see the Lysander bringing up the Toad. It doesn't really matter here. So my turn, we'll Verse Seeker for the Lysander. Here we'll Lysander up the Hocus Pocus Wigglytuff. And we'll Quake Punch for the knockout, taking the win there. Alrighty, so there we go. We can see the Seismitoad Garbodor come to action. We didn't see a Grenade Hammer, which kind of stinks. But we get 10 tokens. Alrighty. But hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. The only suggestion I might make for the deck is to play one switch. And that way, like if the Hocus Pocus actually attacked us, we could try to play a switch to get to the active spot. Because you had to hit heads with Super Scoop Up, which that's the only way you have to a switch right now. You could maybe put a Cassie as an AZ. I wouldn't recommend the AZ. But either a switch or Cassius in the deck could be really good. It's really tight for spots, and I like the Super Scoop Up a lot because you can pick up a Jirachi and save it for being an easy knockout for your opponent, or you can pick up a Seismitoad that has a lot of damage on it. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. If you have subscribed, please subscribe. And once again, if you want to see a deck for Main Deck Monday next week, let me know down below. Right now I'm considering playing a Primal Groudon deck. I'm not really sure what kind though, just because I haven't went over that since the Lysander Trump card ban. And if you want me to switch back to my old camera, I know right now we're using the new one, which is up above the camera right now, so that's why it's kind of like tilted. But I couldn't find a better way to do it right now, so that's what we have it. That's how we have it like right now. And then after this video, if you want to see some opponents concede in the game really quick, once they realize I'm playing Seismitoad Garbodor, which I don't know, it's always really fun to me. It just takes a while to record games because every time they see a Seismitoad and the Garbodor, they usually just concede really quickly because they realize that their decks are kind of useless. But hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, have a great day. Alrighty, bye. Alrighty, so we get B-Seed Guard playing a Fairy Lightning deck. I'm not really sure what this could be. Could be anything though. Lightning and Fairy, maybe Manectric EX with Aromatisse, which, like I said before, if he's playing Aromatisse, it's an easy win. Tails, we get to go first here. Very nice. Alright, so let's see. We start Jirachi here. Okay, so we see Gardevoir, Megaphone. So playing against a Mega Gardevoir deck. We start Jirachi, which is never good. Now we can just Super Scoop it up, put it into our hands, that way it can't be knocked out here. We get the Toad, get the DCE, get the Laser, so heads. Yeah, we'll just Super Scoop Up trying to pick up the Jirachi. So pick the Jirachi up, send it the Toad. Here are computers discard the Zerosic and Shadow Triad. Here we'll get a Trubbish, and we see a concession from my opponent. Alright, so we're against Camus playing a Psychic Colors water deck. Here call heads like always. Tails, boo. We don't get to go first. Boo. Alright, so what is Camus playing here? We see he has the World Championship sleeves. We get a pretty good turn one. We get Ultra Ball, the Super Scoop Up, and a Sycamore away. Get a Trubbish out. Here we see a Mew. So we actually, it looks like we're playing against Night March, if I had to take a guess. So here we'll Muscle Band, the Toad. We'll Ultra Ball discard the Super Scoop Up and Sycamore. We'll get a Trubbish out in play. If we get the Garbodor out, Mew can't use the Versatile ability. So here with Sycamore. We get a Head Ring on the Mew. And we'll just have to pass here. Now I didn't put the Verbeek down just because if he plays Dimension Valley, I don't want him to counter it. We have the Super Scoop Up for some reason if we want to play it. Now here we see a DC come down to the Mew. If he has a Dimension Valley here, he can actually Awaken Punch us, which is kind of annoying. But luckily we do have a support in our hand already. Here we see a Joltik come down. He can Night March here for a with the Joltik, even with the DC attached, he just needs a Dimension Valley. Here we see double Acrobike. We see discards the Dimension Valley. That's kind of sketchy. And another, so he's down 2 Dimension Valleys, and there's the third one. So here we see the Sap Zipper Bouffalant, which has the Derail, discard a special energy card attached to your active Pokemon, which is kind of annoying because he can discard our DCEs. But once we get the Garbodor in play, Mew's going to be kind of useless. Then Bouffalant needs 3 energy to use Derail. We're just going to play conservative with our DCEs here. Right. When we get a Crushing Hammer, we can try to get the DC away. Here we see a Battle Compressor. Right now he's doing... Oh, I can't see his discard pile. That's great. It's going to be a great mystery this whole time what he's playing. Okay, or what's in his discard pile. Which is kind of critical for us to know. Let me try again. Nope, can't see his discard pile. Because we got to see how many Night Marches in his discard pile. Because Night March does 20 damage times the number of Night Marches in his discard pile. So here we see a Night March. We get the Verbank. And we see a concession from my opponent. Alright, he's playing against Gustav Boom, playing a Grass Steel deck. Call heads. We get to go first here. He has their Rayquaza Sleeves too. Okay. We can Ultra Ball, discard Shadow Triad, Crushing Hammer, get a Toad in. Hopefully draw a Floatstone or a Muscle Band. The plans, what Gustav Vom is playing. It's Virizion Genesect. That's kind of a hard deck for us, but we do have the Headringers to get rid of so that way he has to have 3 energies attached to a Virizion. So here we see a Rayquaza EX and a Rayquaza EX. Okay, so we get an Ultra Ball, discard Crushing Hammer, Shadow Triad. Here we get a Seismitoad. Put the Seismitoad down. I probably should Ultra Ball away the other Ultra Ball, but I want to keep it for later just in case we had to search for a Garbodor. Alright, we get a Headringer, attack it. Oh, there's 2 different Rayquaza here. Okay, we'll attach it to the active. Put a DC down. Here. We can either end our turn with the Trubbish in the active spot or Toad. I'm actually going to retreat to the Seismitoad to make it easier to knock us out. Or make it harder to knock us out, sorry. If I let the Trubbish in the active spot, it'll make it easier for him to knock us out. So here we see a Virizion coming down, which is kind of annoying because he has Verdant Wind, but once we get the Garbodor online, he can't use the Verdant Wind ability anymore. Okay. So if we attach the energy here, we have Crushing Hammer to get rid of his energy. Now I know I discarded 1. We have 3 left in the deck, but once we Quake and Punch, he can't play his, what they're called, Mega Turbos, so that's a really good thing. So we get another Trubbish, we get a Laser, we get a Verbank, and we'll see a pass from my opponent. So not that eventful for my opponent. We're just going to put a Verbank, Laser. Now I'm trying to debate here if we discard the stuff or not, because we do play only 3 Super Scoop Ups. We're going to do it anyway. We'll attach a Water Energy here, and we'll just play... No, we'll just Quake a Punch. Seems good enough. Opponent, if he Mega Evolves, he has to end his turn because he doesn't have any Spirit Links. And I want to keep the Super Scoop Ups just in case a Toad gets smacked for a lot of damage. So hopefully we draw into a Verse Seeker. Here we see Professor Birch. Hopefully he draws heads. There you go. So 7 cards for him. But if we draw a Verse Seeker, we can get it in and save the Super Scoop Ups. And we see a concession from my opponent. Alrighty, so we're going to get Camus here playing a Steel Colors Water deck. Tails, we get to go first here. Alright, so let's see what we're doing. We start Jirachi, which is not good at all. But we have Super Scoop Up to pick up the Jirachi. We can get a Toad out with the Ultra Ball. I have played against Camus once today, and he conceded the game fairly quickly. So hopefully that doesn't happen to us again. So we see Double Joltik here. We'll get the Verbank Laser. So we get the knockout on the Joltik right here. We'll Ultra Ball, discard the Lysander and Verse Seeker. And here we'll get a Toad. Put the Toad down, and we'll Super Scoop Up, hopefully hitting heads. We hit tails, boo. Alright, so we'll just pass here. The Joltik gets knocked out, we take a prize. Alright, so we played 2 drops who have been in an okay situation. Right now we don't have a supporter card. But we did take a knockout on the Joltik, which is pretty crucial. So here we see a DC come down to the Joltik. Here we see an N. My opponent saves us. Thank you. Alright, so we get an Ultra Ball to get a Trubbish out. We get a Crush Hammer trying to discard the DC. Here we see a Muscle Band come down. Here we see an Ultra Ball discarding a Jirachi and a Pumpkaboo. Sorry, Night Watch is doing 40. Or 60 with the Muscle Band. He needs a couple more in the discard pile to knock out this Jirachi. Here we see a Shaman. So he's going to set up for 4. So now he has 6 cards in his hand. Hopefully he drew into a Battle Compressor. He can actually use it. Here we see a Fresh Secret for next turn. Looking for probably getting that in there. Yeah. Did he get? Oh, he didn't get the Battle Compressor. So we get another concession. Alright, so bring it's Rafa 1989 playing a Psychic, Lightning, and Steel deck, and supposedly he has the advantage here, so hopefully he'll stick around and play this game out. Alright, call heads. He gets to go first here, which is fine for us. As long as he doesn't head ring or toad, we have to waste his Zerosic. We see 3 DCs, a water, floatstone. Alright, so we get the Seismitoad here. We get the Verbank, we get the floatstone, which is not really that useful right now. Here we see a Bronzor. So we're planning to get some kind of Bronzong deck. Here we see a Skyfield. Maybe it's the Rayquaza Bronzong deck. That'd be pretty cool to play against that deck. We should have advantage with that deck. Alright, so we see a pass from our opponent here. We get the Trubbish, we get the Verbank, we get the DCE, we get the Floatstone. We'll actually do Jirachi for Juniper because he didn't play a supporter. So here we'll get a Sycamore. Alright, and we'll play the Sycamore. We get the Muscle Band. And we'll get a Awaken Punch here for 50. Taking the game.